Welcome, everyone. In this video, let's dive into the recent crypto downturn post-Bitcoin spot ETF, and cover a critical Ethereum bug and risks tied to its dominance. We'll also explore the price dip linked to FTX asset liquidation. Stay tuned for insights on security, ecosystem developments, and a 34% surge in global crypto users. It's Jason from Crypto Bubble. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on all things crypto. Let's dive in, ready for some exciting updates. So you are not unaware that cryptos have declined globally following the Bitcoin spot ETH. And here I will explain to you one of the possible reasons for this fall. It just came out, the information really that we didn't have until now. I'm also going to tell you about Ethereum and a very important bug that could happen on Ethereum and that could have a pretty huge impact in fact on all Ethereum stakes. I'm also going to talk to you about a lot of other topics. We're going to talk about Cosmo and a lot of other things. So at the level of the price of cryptocurrencies, I said in general decline BTC 39,255 -1 and 0.6% and Term -6%. Today we went below the 2,200 mark and we'll talk about the news in a moment. But just before, a little reminder about Yuzu. He is a partner of the chain. They are specialists on everything that revolves around crypto nuggets and crypto scoring. And since it's not easy to get out at the right time during a bull run, they also have a way to schedule outings to take profits automatically on the application. So for the community, Yuzu offers a guarantee for your first purchase up to €100 for 30 days. Which means that after 30 days, if you are at a loss, it will refund you on the €100. They also have a guarantee that can extend up to €1,000. The more people you invite who deposit €100, so it's affiliation. For those who are interested, you have more information in the description and the registration link to take advantage of all this. So I told you that there is a very important bug on Ethereum that is likely to happen and that could have a huge impact. And this is related to the diversity of customers on Ethereum. When we talk about clients by software that run the Ethereum network, it is composed of two different blockchains, we will say. That's what the fuck happened. It is the fusion of these two blockchains. We have the proof of stake part, so it's the consensus part, and we have the execution part. So this is the old proof of work part. These two blockchains have merged, but they are really apart. From a code point of view, it's two different codes, and that's why we have two different types of software that run these two softwares. On the consensus part, you can see that there are 39% of the nodes that make Prism run. We have 32% who turn Lighthouse, 18% who turn Costs. All this is different software. So you can see that there is no software that is dominant. The most dominant is Prism, who has 39%, knowing that before we were at 2/3, I think. So it was really dominant. But there was a big campaign to lower Prism's position and it worked. Since then, it has been much better distributed. And why is it important that it is distributed? Because in case of a bug on one of the software, if the software is dominant, it could lead to big problems for the entire blockchain. And suddenly, on Ethereum, they managed to create this diversity. On the consensus part, there is a lot. You should know that there are plenty of blockchain where there is no such diversity at all. On Bitcoin, for example, there is no diversity at all on the client side. On Solana, it's starting to get crackers coming in to bring more diversity, which is another solution developed by another entity. But the problem on Ethereum is on the execution part, execution at the clients, execution. Look who's dominant. It's Gigit. He has for Go Ethereum, he has for 24% market share. It's just huge. This is much more than all the others. And what everyone fears is if there is a problem on Git. You should know that a few days ago, there was a problem on Nevermind. It is the software that is in the second place of the software. On the client execution part, there are 8 per 100 validators who have a problem. It was, let's say, not very serious. There was a small loss. You should know that when you are offline or when there are many validators who are offline on the Ethereum penalty network, you must be supposed to be continuously online. There is someone who has posted. That's it. When there was the bug on Netherlands, it lost editor slightly. Then he corrected. They fixed the problem, he installed the update and he started winning again. It wasn't a big deal. It's a limited quantity. But the problem is that on Ethereum Plus there are a number of validators who are absent, who are offline. At the same time, the more problematic it is, and the most extreme cases forget. If you have 84% of people who are offline, it could be a big problem. And in fact the worst scenario, it is even really very worrying. The worst scenario would be that there is a bug on Git and suddenly Git fork on a separate blockchain. And in fact that all the other networks that are on the right blockchain, all the other nodes that are on the right blockchain, and well, they're going to have a problem because they will not be able to finalize. That is to say that there will be no confirmation of the final transactions, but that limits it's not very serious. The biggest problem, it will be for Git because all the people who have stored money on all the protocols that use Git, so it is the overwhelming majority of protocols use Git, Stir, Coinbase or others. Even Binance centralized validators and others, and they are at risk of losing the entire 90% of their Ether that are stored. Why? Because we have to. This is how the Ethereum network works. There is this decline that I told you about. Well, the publishers will lower C until they reach a certain threshold where the blockchain can return to functional mode. Where the blockchain, we will say with the old nodes. I told you Cinema and BN etc. will have a majority of the editors and will finally be able to finalize. So the worst risk if you agree on a protocol that uses Git, and as I tell you, most use Git, is that you can potentially lose up to 90% of your data. This is if the rules of the game are respected and what the community or rather a certain number of people think. The community knows that if we get to this point and Git really has a problem, well, a fork will be done quickly within 7 days to avoid a massive loss of land of people who are on Git because it would have a huge impact for the whole community. It would be bad publicity for Ethereum and we would lose a lot of people. And I honestly agree with this opinion. I think there would be a fork that would take place within 10 days, 15 days. There would still be a significant loss for people who have a stack of land. It's difficult to estimate, but here we go. 10% we'll say something like that, but it won't be 90%. So be aware of this risk. I have always said when there is return, there is risk. So be vigilant about the risk that exists on the land. You should know that on the video, they said that they are making efforts and now they are about at 67% of the market share on Git and they want to reduce all that even more. And now the other entities must do the same. Kraken they said they are under study. Coinbase also said that they are studying to reduce the market share of Git. They said at the time, we had launched all this, there was only Git and Git was by far the best. Now, we can study everything again. This whole approach. So there you have it. I wanted to talk to you about this topic. We don't talk about it much and it also shows the risks associated with stacking. Yes, when you store, you can potentially lose your loved ones. It's not something that is without risk. So then I'm going to tell you about what would have caused the decline in Bitcoin and the decline in crypto in recent days. It would be another blow from our dear FTX which, after many years now, continues to cause us problems. So why FTX? They are bankrupt and they are in the process of getting rid of all their assets in order to be able to reimburse users. And FTX had $1 billion in which the fund that was converted into an ETF thanks to which we recall until now there was a discount. There was a discount to the real price of Bitcoin. FTX had made the sudden bet several years ago now to buy Scale Fertilizer shares in order to be able to get closer later and make a profit related to the disappearance of the discount. And in fact, it worked because the disc disappeared with the introduction of the Bitcoin spot ETF. So it was a winning trade in the long term, but they suddenly sold $1 billion in recent days to be able to recover all these dollars, and that's what would have caused this massive drop. There were still more than 10%, let's say even more 20%. We are at 48,000 from memory. Now we are at 40,000. So there was still a significant drop in the price of Bitcoin and potentially caused by FTX. So the good news is that they have more tokens to sell. More and more gray shares than for sale. So there you have it. It's limited what will be able to happen at this level there. We'll see if there isn't another whale of this type coming to sell on the market. But yes, we know that there are many investors who have had their money blocked for many years and who finally see the opportunity to have this conversion into a Bitcoin spot ETF. The possibility of getting rid of this asset that was at a discount for many years. And now it turns out, it's really selling out. It can be bought and sold at parity with Bitcoin prices. And you know what is the token that has risen following this announcement? This is the FTTH token of FTX because in a way it is LiftNX. If one day FTX decides to relaunch an exchange, people think that FTTH would still be involved. In any case, people who are speculating on this, well, the token has risen more than 8% following this announcement because it still makes fresh money for FTX entering the market. At the same time, we also had Alameda withdraw its complaint, so to the FTX investment fund withdraw its complaint against those who are behind the fund, the GTC fund. So the fund in question because they have more reasons to complain. They got everything they wanted back. So the complaint, it's completely cancelled. In any case, they voluntarily withdrew this complaint. Then we'll talk about something else. I wanted to tell you about Cosmos and the Cosmos ecosystem. I told you a while ago about a proposal to bring down inflation on Cosmos to zero. Well, that proposal has been cancelled. It was a proposal to reduce inflation to zero as much as possible. If there were a majority of people's validations, who is from the Atom token sector? And finally this proposal was rejected by the validators, and it was a massive rejection. We are talking about 48.6% who voted against, 25% voted in favor, and 26% abstained. So here we go. It's not going to go down. We're going to stay between this inflation, which is going to be a minimum. We're going to stay between 7 and 10 when it could really go down to zero during this proposal. This is not good news actually for the Atom token because we won't have this disappearance of inflation. So, this sharp increase in the creation of Atom tokens that is constantly taking place, it's not going to disappear. But hey, honestly, we're on reasonable levels. If we reach 7% a year, it would still, I think, be quite acceptable. And later, maybe the community will decide to lower all this. Then there was an announcement about a hack at the hardware wallet level. We're not talking about Ledger here. We're talking about a Ledger competitor, that's for sure. The funny thing is that they had a hack very similar to what Ledger had several years ago now, with in fact a client database that would have leaked. We are talking about 66,000 users who would have been impacted. Another problem with customer service. Generally, these companies and most companies outsource some of the customer service outside. And these companies that outsource, which in fact rather leave, that's who outsource this information or the information about customers, name, first name, email, etc. And the problem is that all these people, we suddenly know that they are associated with Tersor. We know that they have crypto and they are unfortunately being victims of phishing and other things that can happen, which can damage their privacy and their crypto if the attacks succeed. And finally, good news, the number of users who have crypto. The number of crypto investors has increased over the year 2023 by 34%. We have grown to 580 million crypto users worldwide, according to Crypto.com. And that's interesting. It continues to increase the number of users. I think it's huge. 580 million. We're done. I didn't think we were at this level, but here we are. I don't know how it counts to because from $10, we are considered an investor. In any case, it's still huge. We were at the beginning of the year. We are at 432 million. Now we are at 580 million. So that's how we can see. And also Bitcoin. Bitcoin has increased by 33%. We are talking about 296 million in December 2023, whereas at the beginning of the year we were at 222 million, and we were also up by 33 7/10 in the summer. In short, overall rise of crypto holders, altcoins holders, and Bitcoin holders. I hope it will continue for a long time, but we can see that we are starting to be limited. How far are we going to go? We're going to go to 1 billion, 5 billion, 7 billion. Well, what does that mean? We have one more time 10. I don't know. It's up to both of you to tell me what you think. Can we really still achieve much more? In summary, crypto markets are fluctuating due to the introduction of the Bitcoin spot ETF and concerns about a bug in Ethereum. Diversifying software is crucial to mitigate risks. The price drop is also linked to asset liquidation by FTX. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video to stay informed. Thank you for your support.